is Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme in the kitchen. I am so glad to have you here in my kitchen tonight. And we are going to cook up a delicious dish. And just a reminder, you know that in this kitchen, we work hard, we love God and family, and we know without a doubt that everything else is just gravy. So let's get down to business in our kitchen. And thank you for being here with us tonight. Well, I've made it in from the grocery. We have a heat index of 110, and I am toasty. I have made myself a tall glass of pink lemonade, of which I'm going to sip on while I prepare tonight's dinner. Now, tonight's dinner is going to be so cool. It's going to come directly from the refrigerator, going to go into some beautiful bowls, and we're going to have a great dinner. So I hope this evening, when it really is at the max, that I will not have to take anything out of the stove. I won't have to turn on the oven. That's always a good thing. And to be honest with you, I hope to not even have to boil an egg this afternoon. So join me as I sip on my pink lemonade, and we're going to put together two soups today. We're going to have a soup for today and this evening, and we're going to have a soup for tomorrow, both of which need time for those flavors to meld together. So I'm going to put them together. One does require cutting on the stove where the other one doesn't. So we're going to get the first one out of the way. The one that I already know is going to require a little bit of heat, not a lot of heat, but it's going to require some. We're going to put that together so that it can go into the refrigerator. And then we'll put together the second soup, which, to be honest with you, we love summer's bounty and those fresh vegetables. The fresher, the better. And if we can pull them off the vine and eat them then, that's what we like to do. So I'm going to be pulling some things off the vine, and we're going to have a wonderful dinner tonight. So stay right there. Now we are going to fix a corn and zucchini soup. And I'm going to move my chop wizard out of the way, but I have, 6 ears of corn that I'm going to take all of the corn kernels off. And then I'm going to boil, not the kernels, but I'm going to boil the cobs. I also have 4 zucchinis. These are zucchinis fresh out of the garden. And all I need to do is just clip the tip. You'll notice that I purposely left some green on the zucchini. The reason for that is because once it's in the soup, it's going to look so beautiful. And we're going to cube this, and I'm actually going to use the chop wizard to do that. I want perfect cubes, and that's what I'm going to use. Now, obviously, you don't have to use a chop wizard because you may not have one. You can cut it, and I'll show you how to do that as well. I have 1 onion that I'm going to go ahead and dice, but I'm not sure that I'm going to need the whole thing. I'm thinking I will probably only need this much, but just in case, when you start to taste the soup, I may need to add a little more onion because we like onions. So I'm going to check on that. So I'll play around with that as we go. I also have 2 stalks of celery that I've cleaned, and I'm going to work on those. I'm going to take the ends off, make sure I got good ends, and then I'm also going to put them through the chop wizard. So I'm going to kind of cut them I guess they're about 1.5-inch pieces. The reason I'm doing that is just it's going to make it easier to go through the Chop Wizard. Now, the Chop Wizard has 2 sizes of dice. This is a little teeny tiny dice, and that's not what I want. I want the larger dice, so I'm going to put that one away. And I am going to use, you will be amazed, this is one of those things I saw someone use, and I saw my son actually use, he and his wife, and it was amazing how quickly they had those vegetables ready. So I'm going to turn this around so you can see it. You can see where I'm putting the vegetables in. You just kind of lay them in, push, and boom. They are in there and ready to go. So that quick, you have diced celery. I love it. That's my celery. Sometimes I get carried away and put a little bit too much in there, but that's okay. All right, celery done. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a slice of onion on there. That's in because I know I'm going to need that. It's okay for them to mix. I'm going to go ahead and put in that other piece of onion, and that's ready to go. So I'm not going to do my zucchini just yet because I don't want it to get too terribly watery. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start taking the kernels off the corn. And you'll see I've got those kernels off. And it's kind of a messy job, so make sure that your surface is clean. I stand mine up. And then you just run your knife, and this is a pretty sharp knife. You don't want to get your hand caught up in there. But I am going to take all of those kernels off the cob. Sometimes they come off very easy, and sometimes not so much. So this is one. Now I'm going to do this for all 6, and I'm going to be left with the little cob. And we're going to put these cobs in a pot of chicken broth, and we're going to let it simmer for about 30 minutes. So there's the first one. You don't need to watch me do that for all 6. I'll bring you back in just a moment. Okay, this is the last ear of corn. I'm going to finish it up. It tastes wonderful. It's nice and sweet, and it's very, very fresh. I really love it. Somewhere in Myrtle Beach every day there is a farmer's market, so you can always get fresh vegetables, and they're close. So I usually try to get as much fresh vegetables, as many fresh vegetables as I can. Now, I'm going to show you our mound of corn from those 6 ears. And I've kept them on a plate. I think you can see that. I'm going to just pile these here. And when it's time to add them to the soup, then I'll do that. But, oh, this corn smells so good. And it tastes good. I've been tasting little bits and pieces along the way. And it's good. So, I have the corn ready. I am going to put the cobs onto the stove. So, I'll take you there. Stove, and I have a large Dutch oven that I'm going to be working in. I'm going to back you up just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to put it on medium. In this pan, I was out of bacon, but I did have some bacon drippings. So I have added in a tablespoon of bacon drippings, which is equal to the drippings off of 4 slices of bacon. Now, if you have bacon, obviously you can cook your 4 pieces of bacon, take the bacon out, but leave the drippings. The drippings need to be in there. Now, from there, I'm going to add in 1 2-pound box of chicken broth. A 2-pound box of chicken broth. Now remember, it's a soup, so you got to have the broth. Now that's 1. Okay. Now it may be that I may need to add more, but I'll play with this and see how the consistency comes about. Now in here, I'm going to add my corn cobs. And I'm putting in all the corn cobs. I want them in there. I'm going to put the top on this, and I am going to let it simmer. But before I do that, you know, I have to put in some house seasoning. And I'm going to put in about a ½ teaspoon of house seasoning, because the corn doesn't come seasoned, and really, to be honest with you, neither does the broth. So the house seasoning's in there. I'm going to cover this, and when this starts to simmer, then we'll start to add more things into this pot. You can see that our pan is simmering. I'm going to move the top so you can see. You can see the little bubbles around the edge. It's starting to smell good. Now I'm going to put a few things in here so that while this is simmering for 30 minutes, I'm going to add in a heaping teaspoon of garlic. Now, if you're not a fan of garlic, obviously, you can adjust that, but you need some garlic in this particular mix. So I've got in a heaping teaspoon of garlic. I'm also going to add in about a ½ cup of carrots. About a ½ cup. Now, I haven't put any pepper in here. I am going to add something that may blow your mind, and that is I'm going to put in 2 red pepper pods. Here's one. I'm just going to drop it in. I'm not going to break it, so that you'll have all the seeds floating around in the works. Oh, there it is. I had to find it. Had to kind of dig it out. There's the other one. So I'm going to put that down in there, and that is just there to give a little extra seasoning. Now, what I'm going to do at this point is to go ahead and add in the onion, the celery, and some potatoes. These are potatoes, and these are pre-cooked baby russets that I'm putting in. They're pre-cooked. In fact, I roasted them the other night. And I usually, when I'm doing that, because I have the oven on, I try to do a big bunch. And I just put them into Ziploc bags and put them in the freezer. So we've got our cobs in there. We've got the onions and the celery in there. I'm going to taste it in just a few minutes to see how much salt we need. I'm probably going to add a few more potatoes because I have them already prepared. And once I've done that, I'll put the top back on here and let it go for, let's see, about 28 minutes. Okay, here's the rest of the potatoes going in. I can add those where you can see them. Like I said, those are pre-cooked potatoes because we really don't want this to boil or to simmer any longer than the 30 minutes. Now, it's time to give it a little taste. Okay, I've got it. See what it needs. Oh, that's going to be good. Now, what I think I will do, though, is that I'm going to add some black pepper. I'm also going to add some paprika, some Italian seasoning. So I'll take you through that. All right, let's add some pepper. Now I'm going to take the back of my spoon. As you can see, there's the back. And I'm going to add in a little heap. I don't want to overdo it because you can always add more, but you can't take it out once it's in there. So there's the black pepper. That's about a half a teaspoon. I'm going to put in about a half teaspoon of the Italian seasonings. It's going to be one more, about a half teaspoon. And I'm going to add probably about 1/4 of a teaspoon of the paprika. Okay. Now let me give that a good stir. So it's going to have a chance to see how it just makes that color rich. Gives it a very rich color. Now, get my spoon clean. My cobs are in. Notice I have not added any of the corn or the squash. Those will be the last things to go into this soup. And I'm going to add in some basil toward the end, but that will be fresh basil. So we'll probably just put that on top of the bowl as we're serving it. All right, the top is going on. I have it on simmer. I'm going to give it that 25 minutes or so. So I'm setting my timer. And when the bell goes off, we'll be ready to add in the rest of the vegetables. We need to dice our zucchini squash. Now what I've done is that I've taken the end off. Trying to check and make sure you can see. That's going to go down the disposal. I'm going to slice it down the middle, down the center. I'm going to turn it and then slice it again. So in other words, we're slicing this into fourths. And then all I'm going to do is just cut it probably about 1/4 of an inch. That's going to make the perfect little dices for our soup, so that they're not too big and not too small. Because remember, once this 30 minutes is over, that's it of the real cooking. This will go into the hot liquid and it will be allowed to do its thing. We'll adjust the seasonings, adjust the flavors. Okay, this one's already been fourthed. Decided to do it this way rather than run it through the dicer. Okay, that's 2. This is going to be a really hearty soup. You'll love it. Now remember, we're preparing this in advance so that all we'll have to do is just kind of knock the chill off and we're ready to go. In fact, we really could serve it room temperature. Okay, here's our cuts. We're almost finished. We've got one more to do. One more. Put it into its bowl. Okay, there we go. Chop off the top. Cut it into fourths. That's half. And here's our fourth. And we're going to that's ready to go. So let's put it into the bowl. So this part's ready to go. The corn is ready to go. And they're just waiting for our 30 minutes. So in the meantime, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning up. So there's our corn and there's our zucchini. Our summer bounty. Well, you can see that our pot is simmering. I've turned it down because I didn't want it to simmer too hard. But certainly it smells wonderful in this kitchen. Now, it has about 9 more minutes, and then I will start to add the last of the items that's going to go in here. Now, when the timer goes off, the heat will also go off. No heat. And I'll add the corn and the zucchini and allow them to sit. All right, we are just about ready to put in our veggies. And in less than about 2 minutes, and actually I could probably go ahead and in fact I am, I'm going to cut the heat off as we speak. And I'm going to stop the clock. Now, I'm going to add to our mixture in just a moment our zucchini, but first I need to remove the cobs. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to lay the cobs in there, making sure that I have all of them. 1, 2. We had 6 in, so we should have 6 out. 3. 4. These cobs have had a chance to impart their flavors. 5. So that means there's 1 more. There he is. Okay, there's number 6 and 6. So I'm going to throw these in the trash. Or if you have a place to recycle, you can certainly recycle them in your garden. Hadn't thought about that, had you? Even the cooked ones can go in the garden. Okay, there's our zucchini going into our hot seasoned liquid. Gonna give that a stir. All right, now let me go and get the corn. All right, I've got the corn. I'll start to shake that in. And add those. Give that a stir. See how rich and how hearty this soup is. Now, you do not want your veggies to be particularly, because the star of the show is the corn and the zucchini. So we want them to keep their color. So they're just going to sit in the hot broth. The potatoes have released their starches, so we have a nice broth that's in there. The onions and the celery have done their job, as well as the garlic. And actually, you know, it looked like we had an awful lot of garlic, but in reality, it really wasn't. So, there's the rest of the corn. I'll put all of that in. And I'm just going to gently fold the corn into the mixture. I'm going to put the top on it, At this point, it is, after it sits for, I give it a good hour. Let it sit in this hot broth. Of course, it won't be hot, but it's going to be hot enough to just kind of steam and to warm up the corn and the zucchini. There we go. Our corn and zucchini soup is ready for tonight. It's going to be delicious. So, I'll see you then. One thing that you do need to do. I added in 1 tablespoon of butter. And I'm going to add in a cup of heavy cream. Now, you know, with heavy cream, what you don't want to do is to boil it. So I'm going to put in that cup of heavy cream and give it a good stir. There it is. And this is kind of a fresh vegetable chowder, I guess that's what you call it. I have my spoon. Give all of this a good stir. Doesn't that look delicious? Wow. Our corn and zucchini summer bounty soup is ready. Remember, low temperature or even room temperature.